Two, try and have sex in different places. A lot of people just, the older you get, the more routine things get, they just still do it in the bedroom. And I'm like, what about the washer and dryer? What about in the kitchen pouring chocolate on each other while you're cooking? You know, he or she becomes your dessert. What about in the car, like taking it back old school, like when you was in college? What about on the beach? You know, just things that you don't get arrested now. Don't get arrested.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Value TV show, the show where we give you tools to build and have healthy relationships. That's right, tools to build and have healthy relationships. I'm Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic, and today I wanted to spice the show up just a little bit, and we're going to give you some powerful tools, but I got the amazing Dr. Canary.
Canary.
I'm sorry. I got the amazing Dr. Canary.
Hey guys.
A certified psychiatrist and sex therapist.
Correct. That is correct.
So I want you to give people a little bit more spill of what is Dr. Canary out here doing?
All right. So, hey guys, I'm Dr. Canary. I'm a psychiatrist as well as a certified sex therapist and founder of Mind Body Sex. And pretty much my company, I have combined psychiatry and sex therapy. So mental health and sexual health. And I pretty much help people if they've dealt with trauma, sexual abuse, a lot of domestic violence, as well as people that have been diagnosed with severe mental illness.
Okay. Trauma impacts the sex.
Absolutely. Trauma definitely impacts your sex. Trauma impacts a lot of different things.
I'm sure you've gotten this question, though.
What?
Are you married?
Oh, God. I'm not married. No, I'm not married.
Are you in a relationship?
It's complicated.
Okay.
I'm not married. So as long as I'm not married, I'm not married.
Okay. I'm sure people that are listening and watching are probably thinking, now, of course, you can have the educational, but the experience,
right,
because they tie into one.
Absolutely.
So is there what's the percentage you would say is on your education and on your experience?
You know what? I personally don't dive into my sex life because a part of my job, like I tell my clients all the time, they always like to kind of get into my sex life and figure out what I'm doing in the bedroom. But I tell people all the time, like, it honestly doesn't matter, like, what I'm doing, what I'm into, because at the end of the day, I'm not sleeping with you, and what I have going on in my bedroom, you're never going to experience.
Right.
So a lot of the times I tell people, like, for their benefit or what's going to help them, you're going to need a little bit of experience, and you're also going to need a little bit of education. It's a mixture. So I would say 50-50 of both, because you can have X amount of partners. You can have 20 partners, however many partners. That doesn't mean that you're experienced in the bedroom. It just means that you've had a lot of partners. What have you learned from your partners? Do you know the anatomy? Do you know the pressure points of a man or a woman? So I feel like a lot of people, that's what they miss. They think, oh, I have experience because I look at porn, because I've had X amount of partners, because I've did this with this person. But it's like, where's your education at as well?
So you're saying we should be educated about our partners?
Absolutely, yes.
Now, let's do this real quick. Does sex equal compatibility?
That's a really good question. Now, that question I haven't gotten a lot. So the thing is, if you look at sexual compatibility, which is really interesting. So it's not in the DSM, which is what we use to diagnose. It's not in the dictionary, if you look. So sexual compatibility is pretty much where two partners, it's how they perceive their sex life. So how they perceive the conversations that they're having in the bedroom, how they perceive the do's and the don'ts in the bedroom as well. So a lot of times what happens is people, they see sexual compatibility as a huge part of their relationship. And if they feel like they're incompatible, there's sexual incompatibility, they're like, oh no, I don't want to deal with that person. Like, he's terrible in the bedroom or she's terrible in the bedroom. But what they fail to realize is you can teach someone how to have good sex. That comes with, like we just talked about, the experience and the education.
I always say this, like, especially when it comes to whether, I realize everybody doesn't have a desire to be married, but for those who do and those who want to have committed long-term relationships, you have to realize, let me touch on the marriage part first.
Right.
After you say
You just got married, right?
Yeah, I just
Congratulations.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, shout out to my boo. What's up? You know what I'm saying?
I met her at the event. She's beautiful.
Right after you say I do, something could happen to your partner.
Right.
let's say an ailment or an accident, and now they can't perform how they were performing prior to, or maybe you weren't unaware how they perform.
Right.
And now you're like, oh, you know what? I don't feel compatible with you because we can't have sex like we used to.
Yeah, and it happens. Like the libido, which is your sex drive, can increase, decrease. Especially women, when we hit our 40s, our libido tends to increase. For men, you guys have a high libido from the age of like 18 all the way to like
90.
Well in your 30s, I would say. It kind of, for a lot of men decreases in their like 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Really?
It just depends. It depends on your lifestyle. A lot of the clients that I get that are in their 60s that have healthy lifestyles, their libido is still amazing. But the ones that drink a lot, do a lot of marijuana, different things like that, all of that has decreased their libido.
So libido, the usage of certain type of drugs or alcohol can decrease your libido.
Absolutely, yes, that is
Wow.
correct. Yeah. So that's why I tell people, if you want to have a great sex life, exercise, eating healthy, everything is in moderation. If you're going to drink alcohol, because wine is actually a depressant. Like women always think like wine gets me in the mood, and a glass of wine I would say might get you in the mood, it might get you feeling a little freaky, but 2-3 glasses is actually going to cause a depression and a decrease in your libido. And exercise is an increase in the dopamine that you're going to have that makes you kind of want to have sex.
So a large amount of alcohol consumption can
Yes.
decrease it.
Yes.
Well, hold on. What about the person that's doing that? Let's just stay in this lane real quick. They're doing that, but they feel like they have the feeling like, oh, I'm ready.
Right.
But so is that like oxymoron or something? Like,
Not really.
because I'm feeling it, but really I'm not feeling it.
So-
like in terms of the libido.
Right. So it really just depends on the person, because like I noticed when we were younger, like in college, like you would drink and you would go out and you'd be like frisky, like you want to have sex. But as you get older, sometimes it can still be the same. Like you still have the desire there. But what I've noticed with a lot of men, the older they are, maybe, and it depends on how much alcohol too. I'm not talking about getting like tipsy. I'm talking about like getting drunk.
Yeah.
To the point where a lot of times they can't perform, or they don't perform how they want to perform with large quantities of alcohol. Yes.
Interesting. Is there? No, that's I'm thinking placebo. You should.
Is there research on it?
No, you should do something called the libido effect.
The libido effect?
Yeah. Well, that would be crazy. I don't know how you're gonna do that. Does pornography impact people's sex?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good or bad?
It is a mixture. So what research typically shows is actually like pornography is negative. Like we really don't, as sex therapists, we really don't tell individuals to watch a lot of porn because it tends to be addictive. And then you tend to compare your partner to the person that you see on the screen. So I use it as like an exercise. If I have my clients watch anything dealing with porn, they're watching it together, they're engaged together, they're asking questions. I do it as like a quick little exercise, but a lot of times do I think that couples should watch porn every day together? Absolutely not.
So you recommend that they watch it together?
Yes. It's a great way to see what your partner is into, because that's the number one thing. Partners are scared to communicate what they're into.
Hold on a second. Why do I gotta watch porn to figure out what you're into? Why can't I just ask you?
Because some couples, they don't have that communication skill yet. And that's a part of sexual compatibility, is being able to communicate and comprehend what you want in the bedroom and what your partner wants in the bedroom.
Have you seen sex destroy relationships?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Personally,
yes. I've
from
seen
clients you've had.
From clients that I've had,
Now,
yes.
what was it that the woman couldn't perform, or the man couldn't perform, or the drive was low, the drive was high, and what was it?
It was actually a combination of all those things. I've seen where women, after they have, kids, their bodies aren't exactly where they want it to be yet. And usually you gotta wait about 4 to 6 weeks before you can even have sex with a woman after she has a baby. So a lot of men are like starving for sex. They're like, when am I gonna get it next? And then they get used to, masturbating and different things like that. And after a while, some women, their libido crashes and it doesn't come back up to where they need it to be. So they don't want to engage in sexual activity. Well, then you have this sexually frustrated man who's already waited 6 weeks. And then once the 6 weeks hit, he looking at the calendar like, all right, it's time to go. And she's like, nah, I don't quite feel like I'm ready yet, because I don't feel comfortable in my body yet. And then you have cases where you see men that it's the same thing. They're uncomfortable. They've gained weight from stressful things at work, or just in general, as Black men, you guys deal with a lot with society and stuff. And you have these men that go home and they don't want to perform in the bedroom, or they're just not interested in sex because of what they're going through out in the real world.
Wow. Here comes a tool. I told you we give you tools to build and have healthy relationships. Someone in that position, man or woman, what do you recommend? One thing for them to do.
Come see a sex therapist. That would be the number one thing. And then also communication is so important. You have to communicate with your partner about your needs, about your wants, and being realistic. But then 3, also you want to compromise. That's the thing. A lot of times couples are scared to like schedule sex. It's okay sometimes to do that. Like sometimes you have to do that, especially when you have kids, you have busy schedules. It doesn't seem as exciting and as fun, but you can make it fun. You can make it into what you want it to be.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? Even when you say the communication part, you know, for someone that's watching or listening, it isn't easy.
Right.
Because it's a touchy topic.
It is. It is very touchy.
And even though this may be your friend, your partner, the person you're spending intimate time with, it's still a sensitive, touchy topic because I have to open up about almost like the elephant in the room, sex.
Right. Yeah.
Like say it's a man and he's like, man, well, I want oral. How do I ask without sounding however? Or say it's the woman.
Yeah.
You know, vice versa.
And that's what we help you do. We help you figure out ways to communicate that with your partner because it's not always easy. Everyone has a different either ethnic background or even religious background plays a huge part into it, you know, waiting until you're married. But one thing I do tell men and women is you know your partner. You know what tone to use. Body language is important. You know what your partner likes, how you act certain things. So ask it in a way where they're going to feel like that they don't feel like you're demeaning them in any way. And I think that's the most important thing. And that's something I've even had to learn with my partner, like just watching how I speak to, you know, my black male, because a lot of times I think as women, especially myself in my profession, I'm very blunt, I'm very to the point. And sometimes not everyone can take that. So you have to be very careful of how you present the issue to your partner.
I want to say this to the men because, you know, women deal with a lot.
Right.
And I was talking to someone trying to get some questions for the show tonight. And some women are not always, and I mean, you tell me, because you're in the educational space, some women's sex drive is not as high as men. So women just may want, you know, they want the emotional support.
They want
not all women, but some women, you know, it's give or take with the sex. They want it, but it's not like a man, like, listen, let me get some tomorrow.
You know, but this is what I tell men. If you feel like your woman has a low libido, because I get this a lot. Men come in my office all the time. They're like, my wife doesn't want it. My girlfriend doesn't want it. Well, what are you doing to make her want it? See, we're not like men. Like you guys are very visual creatures, right? Whereas women, we need you to set up a scene for us. We need some rose petals on the floor. We need, not that we want our man to wear lingerie or anything, Speedos or anything like that. We need chocolate. Text us something throughout the day. Get some music playing. Do people still play music and have sex anymore?
Yes.
Like, but a lot of people don't. Like a lot of the couples.
These are tools. Listen, guys, these are tools.
A lot of the couples I speak to, like, they don't even play music anymore. They're older than you and I. So it's like, set the mood. That's what we need as women. We want you to set the mood. We don't think the same way cognitively as men do. Meaning y'all can just see a woman's body and shape and you're in the mood. It don't work like that for us. We could see a six-pack and we'd be like, oh, that's a nice six-pack. Okay. That's what's up. So you got to set the mood for us. Massage her. You know, there's certain pressure points on the body of a woman that you can touch and caress. Know your woman. Know her body parts. A lot of men just want women to, you know, just be ready and hot and bothered.
They just want to beat it up.
It takes time. Yeah, it actually takes time physically for us to get our engine going.
You got to study them.
You do. You have to study your
partner. I think a lot of people remove that aspect right there of studying your partner.
Right.
And then we make this sex thing feel like almost like we nuns. It's part of relationships.
Right, it is.
Let's go into this. I seen something on your the other page you have, the mind body sex.
Mind body sex.
It was something called, was it Queeving?
Queeving?
Queeving. I never heard of that.
You've heard it probably.
I've never heard of Queeving until I was on the page just kind of like researching, checking your stuff out, and I saw the post Queeving, and I'm swiping, and I'm like, what? Like, what is this? So just for the people that's watching or listening, Queeving, because somebody out there probably never heard of it.
Well, and I'm sure they've probably seen it or heard it in the middle of the act. All it is like almost like a woman passing gas from her vagina, though. That's it. That's all it is.
That's cool. That's what queeving is?
That's
that the
it.
professional term?
That is the professional term.
So it's a fart.
It's air. It's the vagina letting out air. That's what it is. That's it. That's just the vagina letting out air. That's it. It's just the vagina letting out air. It happens a lot during sex. You know, if the man's penis is in there.
Is that a good thing? That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
But hold on,
it's just natural.
When I kept swiping, you had on there, I guess, wet and not wet. Mm-hmm. So is queeving attached to that? Or is it like something that women do so it can be more wet?
So the whole post was about awkward things during sex.
Right, that's what I was saying.
So the wet versus not wet is some women feel uncomfortable because they feel like they have too much lubrication down there. Like they naturally get ridiculously wet and they're like, hey, it almost looks like urine or something like that, and it's terrifying my partner.
Yeah.
Or you have some women that deal with vaginal dryness and they need help with a lubricant because they don't get as wet down there. So all of that is natural. All of that is normal. And that's pretty much what that post was about. Whether you get too wet or you have vaginal dryness and you need some extra lubricant, everything about that is normal.
Have you ever faked an orgasm?
I do not talk about my sex life, so I'm not going to answer that question.
We're not talking about your sex life currently.
You did. You asked about
Not currently. This was on your page.
I will never, ever
just
disclose
answered.
that.
I hope you know you just answered.
I'll give you percentages. What I will say is at least probably most women have at least once or twice. I feel like every woman has faked it. And I feel like but the thing what we don't talk about is men fake it as well. Men fake it as well. And a lot of women don't realize that. They think there's a difference between a man having an orgasm and him ejaculating. There's a difference.
Oh, explain this.
So an orgasm, and for women too, but we'll talk about for the men. So an orgasm for men or women, it's actually it's a neuron thing that happens like in your brain and throughout your entire body, right? So men might shake or women might shake, you might tremble, your eyes might roll back, like you're literally having what you might feel like mini convulsions throughout your body. The neuron sends all these sensations. That's an orgasm. Ejaculation is totally different. Ejaculation is where you come, but you might not necessarily feel those mini neurons and convulsions throughout your body. So a lot of women will see men come and ejaculate and be like, he orgasmed, but there's a difference between that.
That was a tool right there. I'm going to say this every time the tool is dropped. There's a difference between ejaculating and having an orgasm.
Absolutely.
For my street dudes, a difference between busting a nut and the other one.
Right.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between that.
So I'm glad you told me you have faked it before.
I did not say, I plead the fifth.
Yes, you did.
I plead the fifth.
What is somebody doing in that position? Let's just say a woman, I want to go back to that point with the women, because kids come in.
Right.
And I say this as well before I ask this question. We should never build a relationship solely on sex.
Absolutely.
There should be a more solid foundation, because as I'm going into this next question, the woman has the children, maybe it's one, maybe it's two, however many. And like you said, she's out, her libido's low and she doesn't feel like doing it. What could they do, that couple, to get some new fire sparked in that room?
Right. That's a really good question. Well, for one, you're absolutely right when you say that your relationship should not solely be built on sex, because it's not going to last. It's not going to be a lasting relationship if you don't have other components in there. Now, as far as spicing a relationship up, this is what I love most, is when my couples, when they come to me.
Bring me the spice.
And the relationship.
So spicy, Dr. Canary. So spicy.
But they really just want to spice things up. So one of the main things I always love to do, these are some exercises, real life exercises that I give couples. One is watch the porn together. A lot of couples don't watch porn together.
You keep going to the porn.
Because
you're heavy on the porn right now.
It can revitalize.
You're pressing the gas on the porn right
It can
now.
Revitalize a lot of different things if used correctly. It's not used correctly.
Right.
2, try and have sex in different places. A lot of people the older you get, the more routine things get, they just still do it in the bedroom. And I'm like, what about the washer and dryer? What about in the kitchen pouring chocolate on each other while you're cooking? He or she becomes your dessert. What about in the car, like taking it back old school, like when you was in college? What about on the beach? Just things that you don't get arrested now. Don't get arrested because you, but just like spicing it up. And then another game I like to have my couples play is called What Would You Do? And it's yes, no, or maybe. So I have a checklist that I give them, and they each check off the things that they're very interested into trying. It's an absolute yes. It's maybe a no to the anal beads. It's maybe to a threesome. And then you switch and it opens a conversation, because a lot of people, like I mentioned earlier, they're not having these conversations about what they're into in the bedroom. And a lot of times when you first get married to 10 years down the road and you feel like you've tried everything, she might be into something new. So the thing is, you have to constantly do those little those sexual health check-ins to see like, okay, where she's at mentally. What is she now open to trying? We've been 10 years married. Maybe she's into something totally different.
I'm speaking for the men, because they may be with a woman and she may have the chemical imbalance. I'm sure you've spoken to women like that,
right.
Hormonal imbalance. And that man's like, I'm giving up on her because she doesn't want to have sex with me and she's never
right.
fired up. Those men, I believe you should have patience, because I believe patience plays a part in sex as well. Because your partner's not always going to want to feel like they want to do it.
Yeah,
they may not even be into what you want to get into.
Right. Like
you just said, I think did you just say something about beads?
Oh, anal beads.
Yeah. See, they might not want that, but you can't throw your partner away because they're not interested in that.
Right,
you got to find a common ground. Am I correct?
Yeah. And most women like toys. And what I've realized from my practice is a lot of men are intimidated by sex toys, but studies show that couples that incorporate sex toys into their sex life are about 75% more satisfied with their sex lives. So I tell men all the time, don't be intimidated, but ladies, start small, like ease them into it. Cause I've seen women pull out 13-inch dildos and be like, all right, we're gonna play with this tonight.
But those are not the only toys.
Right. There's anal beads, there's dildos, there's whips, there's chains, there's masks, there's handcuffs.
I feel like
there's
the
soap,
show.
There's feathers. There's so many different things you can use.
I feel like the show is turning into the 100 Shades of Grey right now. She's talking about anal beads and handcuffs.
And you said spice it up.
No, for real. I mean, those are things, because there's some people that ask these questions before I came on here. They were like, what are some things to do to spice it up? Because they feel like,
Go
sometimes.
to the sex store. I'm dropping a video out tomorrow about this. I went to the sex store and I just was in there having fun. You can go with your girlfriends. You can go by yourself. I mean, they have lingerie. They have everything in the sex store.
Yeah.
You can go, and it's a great activity that I tell partners to do. Go to the sex store together. Pick out things for each other. That's how, because all of this is building communication, is building comprehension, and you're learning what your partner likes in the bedroom. I mean, you can't. It's a win-win situation for everybody.
Wow. I got one more question.
Okay.
I ain't gonna ask that question right there.
Uh-oh, what? What was the question?
Do you have toys?
Oh my gosh.
We need to know if a therapist is talking to me, I'm gonna be sitting there. I'm asking the questions that the people listening or watching would ask. Like, I hear her talking about all this therapy. Do she got toys?
But
do the toys work?
It honestly doesn't matter. Like I told
you,
it doesn't matter what I got in my bedroom.
Y'all hear that? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter,
So
because
stay
it's
out
not
of her
your
bedroom.
Yeah, stay out of my bedroom. But I am sponsored by 2 companies.
Okay.
One is Bush. They're located actually in Australia. You can use my code Dr Canary. They have amazing vibrators, really tiny, only like 1 inch or 2 inch that you can use. Great for clitoral stimulation. And then V by Vibes in Miami. And it's a necklace vibrator that you can wear. And ladies, it literally looks like a crystal necklace or something. Guys will never know it's a vibrator unless, of course, they watch the show. Then they'll know.
Hold on a second.
But you can wear it around your neck.
It's a necklace vibrator?
It's a necklace vibrator.
So what do you just take the necklace off and do?
And do what you got to do. Wash it and put it right back on your neck. It's V by Vibes. You can find it actually on my page.
Are they giving me some of this?
Yes.
Some of these coins when people buy this?
I have a sponsorship with them,
I
do.
The show getting some coins?
I'll swing some your way. Maybe we'll do like a gift, gift giveaway or something.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
because we're gonna do part 2 of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So check us out. Now let's, on a serious note, I know you talked about the trauma in the beginning.
Right.
Because there are some women, and I don't know the statistics, so I'm just kind of winging it right here. But I'm believing that there's more women that have experienced this in terms of maybe being touched or raped or violated when they were younger, maybe older. How have you dealt with them? Like, what's one tool that you can give them if they're in that position now, listening or watching? They're like, yeah, I hear all that great stuff, the toys, the excitement, the sex store, but you don't know my story. Yeah. I've dealt with this. I don't even want a man, let alone touching me. I don't want him looking at me. I don't want, Oh,
that's so difficult because everyone's a little bit different. And, to people that have survived situations like that, a lot of times it really just takes time. Like it takes therapy, it takes time. And for the women that have partners, typically what we work through is we do like shadow work. So first we'll just work on the individual themselves and what they have going on. And then we'll work with their partner, bring their partner in. And pretty much the tools that I give them is, once again, communicating. Communicating how they're feeling in the moment. Maybe how long it's been, because for some people, you know, it might have happened years ago, but certain things trigger.
Yeah.
So what triggers them? It could be sense, it could be smell, it could be touch. There's a lot of things that trigger, domestic violence survivors or sexual assault survivors. And so we talk about those things because sometimes it's intimidating for them to have to do that conversation alone. So if you have like myself there, like a psychiatrist or a sex therapist there, we can kind of help you go through that process of speaking to your partner and telling them like, hey, this is what makes me uncomfortable in the bedroom. I would prefer if we do this, or sometimes they just need time.
Have you spoken with men that are in that position? Because I know some men personally that have dealt with that, and they find that sexual activity or even just talking about it extremely difficult.
Absolutely, because a lot of times it's happened to them at a very young age, and it was a predator. And a lot of the males that I have currently, it was women that raped them, like older women. Yes, it was older women that raped them. They were like 8 years old, and maybe like a 16-year-old, or in one case, like a 20-year-old. And so for them, they perceive sex very differently. And you see that honestly in the Black community with rappers. Like I remember Chris Brown was talking about losing his virginity at 8, and the way he like laughed it off, it was just like, it was very concerning. Or even like Lil Wayne has talked about it before. So there's a lot of rappers that talk about that they've had trauma, but for them, they just, you know, kind of laugh it off. And so, and that's what I've noticed a lot of male clients do. Is they'll be like, oh, I know I should be happy that happened to me at that age, like that I had a woman attracted to me. And it's like, no, that's actually really sick. So we have to kind of peel back those layers and work through that.
Wow. I commend you on that, man.
Thank you. I love the work that I do. Are you out here dating? Oh my God. I actually am not dating.
You're not?
I'm talking to one person. So I'm not just like, I'm not just like out here just dating, but I'm just talking to one person. Yeah. Oh yeah, you did. Yeah. Was there.
I'm just kind of
like, how you know? Yeah.
How long?
8 months. So it's still new.
You think he the one? He ain't gonna see this.
He might.
Not right now.
You know
what? Okay, on the potential level, with 100% being the highest, what's the percentage?
God, you know what? I've probably given you more personal information than that. That's actually my number one thing is I tell people do not ask me personal questions because I don't answer
This would make my show juicy and valuable.
I'm going to give it to you. You just need to edit some stuff out, but... No?
Actually, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. Just tell me off camera.
I'll tell you off camera.
Tell me off camera.
That's even better.
Let's just do this. Let's close it up like this. I'm going to give you one word, and I want you to... tell me what that word means to you and how it applies to your relationship.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Got it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I know you about to say something crazy.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Stamina.
The first thing that comes to my mind is excellent.
Okay.
It's good.
How do you apply that to your relationship?
Eating healthy, great nutrition helps with stamina. Exercise helps with stamina. That's the number one thing. If you have two partners, I'm really big into working out. I'm big into fitness. That helps with stamina. I do yoga. Flexibility is always great for that as well. And I would say that's the main component is honestly nutrition and exercise is going to help you with stamina.
Ooh. Before we wrap it up, let me ask this.
What?
Do you believe that your diet impacts your sex?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Because I was hearing somebody talk about
because
vegans.
Think about how women taste.
A woman that's a vegan or a vegetarian or just eats healthy. Let me just say that.
It's going to taste better.
What's going to taste? Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's going to taste. Yeah, heck.
What about the man?
So many. The same.
It's another
there
tool.
Actually been studies done
Get you
where
some fruits and vegetables. So
no, seriously though. I mean, not saying that if you eat pineapples, you're going to taste like
I've heard that.
But it does. What you eat does change the smell, the flora. As women, we naturally have our discharge every day. It's going to change how a male tastes. Like, that's why asparagus is, when you eat it, I love asparagus, but it stinks. Like, it makes your urine stink. Yeah. It makes everything. Like, what you eat actually comes through your pores.
Wow. Okay, so for a man, because I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables anyway.
That's perfect.
I guess I'll be good. I'm good then.
Yeah, you good.
Yeah.
Eliminating just fried foods, things that have a lot of soy in it is not good.
Not even soy milk?
No.
Oh, almond milk though.
Almond milk is good. Oat milk is good. But yeah, soy milk, not as much.
So ladies, if you want your stuff to taste great,
eat healthy.
Eat healthy.
Eat healthy.
Dr. Canary, tell the people where they can find you at, man.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
No problem, man. I thank you for coming on, man.
Of course.
Hold on, before you tell them where they can find you at, is there anything coming up that they need to know about, where they can come check you out, any type of panels, any type of...
Oh, yes. Actually, yes. I have several events coming up. So the first event that I'm going to be doing is actually on the 22nd, but it's really invite only. But if you're interested, and the reason why it's invite only is because we're going to be doing like live demonstrations of things. So we kind of want to just keep it very like where people won't be able to record and stuff like that. Not what you're thinking. It's not no orgy.
I gotta ask you.
No, it's not that crazy.
No, I highly doubt that. Yeah, I wouldn't know.
But if you're interested, it's going to be October 22nd. That's a Sunday, I believe. And you can DM me about that. That'll be one of the first of many events that I'm going to hold. I'm going to start doing classes for males, for females. I want to start back with the basics of just teaching people about anatomy, sexual health, mental health. So you can find me if you're interested in content surrounding mental health and sexual health at mind.body.sex on Instagram. If you're interested in scheduling a consultation, you can find me at drmbs.com. And then if you're interested in my personal life, I don't get too personal, but I do travel a lot. I love adventure. You can find me at Dr.Canary on IG.
Am I coming to the event?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you want to come.
I'm already invited.
You and your wife are definitely invited.
We can
Absolutely.
Come.
Y'all can come for sure.
Okay. It's not going to be nothing.
It's not going to be nothing too crazy.
Do I need to talk? If you ask me to, I will.
Yeah, you can.
I will.
Absolutely, you can.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're single, dating, married, and you're looking for tools to build and strengthen your relationship, tune into the Value TV show. I'm Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. The wonderful Dr. Canary was here. Peace.